In the fading light of a cold autumn evening, a small carriage rattled down the narrow dirt road leading toward the imposing gates of Baron Alistair Thornfeld's estate. Inside sat Elena, a young woman of 20, her hands clenched tightly in her lap, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She had been given away that morning, without choice, without farewell, to a man whose wealth was whispered about in fear, and whose presence alone made grown men fall silent. She wore a modest ivory dress, her hair tied neatly, her face pale beneath the fading sun. She wasn't going as a guest. She was going as a possession. Before we go deeper into Elena's story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the strength of the human spirit, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Gentle Truth. Your support helps bring more emotional, cinematic stories like this one to life. The gates opened with an eerie slowness, revealing the sprawling stone mansion that loomed like a sleeping giant. Lanterns flickered against the cold stone, and stable hands watched the carriage pass with a mixture of curiosity and pity. Baron Thornfeld was known as a man who took what he wanted. Twice widowed, wealthier than anyone in 3 counties, and living in near isolation, he commanded both fear and respect. Rumors swirled about how servants who disobeyed him disappeared without a trace, and how no woman lasted long inside those walls. Elena stepped out, the night air biting her skin, and was greeted not by the Baron, but by a stern housekeeper who simply said, "Follow me." The days that followed were filled with silence and expectation. The Baron's presence was felt long before he entered a room, heavy boots on the marble, the echo of his cane, the shift in the air as servants stood taller and breathed quieter. Alistair Thornfeld was a tall, broad-shouldered man with silver hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He rarely spoke, and when he did, it was like thunder rolling through a quiet valley. Elena avoided his gaze, staying near the kitchen, helping servants, folding linens, anything to keep her hands busy and her mind from imagining the worst. Yet something strange began to happen. Days passed, and the Baron never called for her. He didn't demand her presence at dinners, didn't summon her late at night like the cruel men she had feared. He simply watched her, quietly, as though weighing something in his mind. When she walked through the garden one morning, clutching a basket of apples, she caught a rare glimpse of him from a balcony, his face not cruel, but tired, deeply lined with years of loss and solitude. Then came the winter storm. One night, howling winds battered the windows, and Elena was woken by frantic shouts. One of the younger servants had gone out to retrieve a lost horse and hadn't returned. Without hesitation, Elena wrapped herself in a shawl and rushed into the storm, lantern in hand. She found the boy trapped near a fallen tree, half frozen. With great struggle, she pulled him free and led him back to the estate. When the Baron saw her enter, drenched and shivering but holding the boy upright, something in his icy demeanor cracked. He took off his heavy coat and wrapped it around her shoulders, his gaze lingering on her with quiet astonishment. In the following weeks, Alistair's silence shifted. He began to leave small gestures, a chair pulled out for her, warm bread left at her door, a lantern lit in the hallway when she walked back at night. Elena found herself humming again, tending to the garden despite the cold. She even taught the kitchen boy how to braid dough for sweet bread, filling the house with the smell of warmth and life it hadn't known in years. The townsfolk had expected the young woman to wither inside the Baron's cold mansion. Instead, something unexpected was happening. The Baron himself was changing. One evening, when the storm returned, Alistair entered the great hall where Elena sat near the fire with a book. He stood by the doorway for a long time before finally saying, in a voice rough with disuse, "You've brought light back into this house." It was the first time she'd heard his voice soften. As winter gave way to spring, word spread that Baron Thornfeld was no longer the feared figure people whispered about. He had opened the estate's gates to feed hungry families, hired workers to rebuild parts of the village, and often rode out with Elena by his side. What began as a forced union no one believed in became a story that stunned everyone, a silent man rediscovering his heart, and a young woman finding strength she never knew she had. Elena's life had started as a transaction, a quiet exchange between powerful men. But it became something far more beautiful, a story of resilience, unexpected kindness, and 2 broken souls healing each other in ways the world didn't see coming. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Gentle Truth. Your words and engagement mean more than you know. Yellow heart, right finger special request. Share in the comments, have you ever witnessed kindness in an unexpected place? Your story might inspire someone else.